The principal aim of programming an articulator is to match as closely as possible the adjustable elements of the articulator with the natural movements of the mandible. In protrusion, the lower incisors move down the palatal aspect of the upper incisors, and the condyle moves forward and down along the superior wall of the fossa. In right lateral excursion, the 1-3 and 4-3 will work against each other whilst the mandible moves to the right. The working side condyle will rotate and move laterally, whilst the orbiting condyle moves forward and medially. If we watch again, we can see that the path taken by the orbiting or non-working side condyle initially has a more medial component than the later movement. The early movement is termed immediate side shift, and the later movement progressive side shift. The D9 Mark II has three adjustable elements: immediate side shift, progressive side shift, and condylar guidance angle. These may be set at average values, and the D9 are used as an average value articulator. Alternatively, the immediate side shift and the condylar guidance angle can be programmed using intraocclusal records. On the D9 Mark II, the progressive side shift can be adjusted, but it is recommended that it is set at an average value of 6 degrees. To set the progressive side shift, the upper member should be removed from the articulator. We can see the medial wall of the fossa, which will guide the condyle as it moves forward. To set this angulation to an average value of 6 degrees, the screw is loosened, the angulation adjusted, and the screw tightened. The procedure is repeated on the opposite side. To program the condylar guidance angle, a protrusive intraocclusal record is required. Using the scale on the back of the articulator, the condylar guidance angle on each side is set to 0, and the screws are tightened. The intraocclusal protrusive record is introduced onto the lower cast and the upper cast closed into it. As we would expect in this protruded position, the condyles are now standing away from the superior wall of the fossa on both sides. While holding the casts tightly together, the condylar guidance angle is gradually increased on each side until the superior wall of the fossa contacts the condyle. In this case, the right condylar guidance angle is approximately 18 and the left side approximately 22. To program the immediate side shift, left and right excursive intraocclusal records are required. The locking nut retaining the medial wall is loosened and the medial wall moved as far medially as possible. The right lateral excursive record is introduced here as we're programming the left immediate side shift. The medial wall moved to contact the condyle and the screw tightened. We can see now that the condyle is in contact with the medial wall. Looking at the vernier scale on the top of the articulator, we can see that the immediate side shift for the left side in this case is 0.6 of a millimeter. In summary, the forward and downward movement of the condyle is reproduced on the D-now as condylar guidance angle, which is read on the scale on the rear of the articulator. The early medial movement of the orbiting condyle, in this case the left condyle, is reproduced as immediate side shift, which is read on the top of the D now. And finally, the later forward and medial movement of the non-working side condyle is preset to an average value of 6 degrees, and this is read on the underside of the upper member of the D now.